Die. Oh, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. That music that you are hearing, both on trumpet and on shofar, and as I like to say, shofar so good, ladies and gentlemen, that is being played by our multi-instrumentalist, multi-talented guest in the neighborhood here on this Shabbos morning, April 17th, 2021. I am Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And with me in the day, but we are not just in New York, we are not just in Colorado, we are going all the way to London today to see Frank London. He is, oh, there he is. Shalom again. We lost you. We're exiled, as so many Jews have been. Now you're back. How are you? Welcome to the neighborhood, Frank London.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Frank. How are you? You're looking great. How's the pandemic been for you?
Very interesting. Very interesting. Challenging. But, you know, good to be with my family. Good to be cooking great food, making some new music, seeing friends, just, you know, being slow. Something I haven't done for 40 years.
So, yeah, obviously you wouldn't have been touring very much the past year or so.
No, that would be not very much at all. Yes, that's true.
So, Mazel, by the way, you mentioned family. You have a wife, you have kids, yes?
Yes, a few of each.
A few. How many wives do you have, and can I borrow a couple? No, I'm kidding. I kid.
Or as I like to say, I used to have kids. Now there's a bunch of young adults running around the place.
Well, now where are you? Are you in New York, or where are you?
I'm in New York on the Lower East Side of Manhattan.
Have you lived there the whole, like, since you've been famous and so forth?
Well, I don't know when that happened, but for the last 30 years or so.
So how's it been living in New York the past year? Because maybe you're not touring, but you're going out. Is the village like normal? Is it the store?
No, there's nothing normal about this at all. There's nothing normal about this at all. You go out and there's almost no one on the streets. And when there are a lot of people on the streets, they tend to be NYU students who aren't paying attention to things, and everyone gets very upset. But you know, but we're doing okay. Tompkins Square Park is good. I learned how to play racquetball. That's been a new thing. We go out to the courts in the parks in the neighborhood and play racquetball. That's a great new entertainment.
Good. Now, are you ever worried when you play a sport, because you are a multi-instrument, you're known for trumpet, but you can play a bunch of other things. You ever worried, oi, if I hit the thing and the ball will hit my finger, I'll be in a splint for a week, or no, you don't think about it?
I mean, that would be a very sensible thing. I agree with you. No.
All right. So, by the way, before we mention anything else, one of the reasons that we're having Frank London on the program today is not just because he's Jewish and he makes Jewy kind of music, but he's got a new album out, and oh boy, it's called Ghetto Songs, because what could be more fun than that? It actually is not so much only about the Warsaw Ghetto, but it has to do with a ghetto in Italy, if you want to explain a little more.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah. Set the stopwatch. Let's see if we can do this in 90 seconds.
All right, let's do this. Here we go. I got it ready. Go!
Very quickly. The first ghetto to be called a ghetto, the word ghetto comes from the Jewish ghetto in Venice, which was established just 505 years ago in 1516. And as part of the work to sort of commemorate 500 years of ghettos, I created this project with my friends in Venice, and it's called Ghetto Songs, and we look at music from all sorts of ghettos from around the world, Jewish and non-Jewish, from now, from then, and we look at the music and we play it, and we sort of try to find connections and think about the whole thing. That's it.
You did that in like 70 seconds even. That was bravo. Bravo. So do you do like the Sammy
I
Davis?
got my coffee going.
Oh,
That's it. That,
I forgot
yeah.
my darling, adorable wife, Miriam Libby. May I please have my beverage my beverage vessel? I have a very special beverage vessel too. Not as pretty as yours, but check this out. Look at this, huh? Huh?
Beautiful. Best rabbi ever.
Basically, I am. So, do you do the Sammy Davis Jr. song "In the Ghetto"? In the ghetto.
Okay, hold on. You know who? Do you know who had the first hit with it before Sammy Davis Jr.?
I don't recall who.
That was Elvis.
Not Nick Cave. Who
that was Elvis had the hit.
Of course, yes.
And it was written by now my head is not working. Mac Davis wrote "In the Ghetto." Mac Davis wrote "In the Ghetto." I that was the big debate, was whether or not to do that song. And at the end, it didn't make the cut. But trust me, we thought about it long and hard. But we do "The World is a Ghetto" from War and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm a first disco kid, but I like "The World is a Ghetto." That's a good one. Do you do "We Ghetto in Venice" and then in Cremona and then no? That's a little.
What is that?
I don't know. It's a Kiss Me Kate thing. It's got nothing to do with. It's Venice, not ghetto.
I don't really know a lot of those classic musicals. I apologize.
Oh, for shame! For shame. Good. It's a oh my God. So, how much Yiddish upbringing and Jewish upbringing did you have?
Okay, those are two separate questions. A lot of Jewish and absolutely zip on Yiddish. I'm a pure Long Island, born and bred Reformed Jew. A good American suburban Reformed Jew was how I was brought up. Very Jewish, no Yiddishkeit, no.
Well, Reformed is not necessarily. I mean, Reformed.
No, it's just that I'm also on most of my, depending on which branch of my family, on one branch, I'm a fourth generation American. So I'm sure my grandparents spoke Yiddish. My parents did not.
Of course. But let me ask you about this, because I wear this, the yarmulke, for baldness. What's with the hat? Is that your signature? It's your trademark?
It is. It is. It's a little bit of a signifier. It's not bald yet, thank God. But
no. How old are you that you still have so much hair?
The hair is a product of the pandemic. I haven't had a haircut in a while.
No, but I loved it. That's beautiful head of hair you have. Look at this. I got nothing. I got these things. I got, and these are made from my pubes. So that should tell you something. I don't. What? You're looking at me horribly there. I don't blame you, quite honestly. So let me ask you a couple of things about your life and your career.
You can get one also. You can get one with reggae dreads, with Rastafarian dreadlocks, if you want also.
Oh, I do. I style it with hemp oil. It's really lovely, and people want to stand near me and inhale. It's fantastic. So, but let me ask you: were you 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old? Did the prodigy word come around, or was it just when did you realize music was like oh?
I don't think you, and I'm not a prodigy. I just love music. I just love it, and that's all. Nothing to say. I don't know. I think it's when I tried to go to college to study something else, and I realized that there was nothing else I wanted to do. That was kind of about it. I was like, oh, I guess it's got to be music.
So, but here's the deal. Also, you come out of college, and it's not like a Juilliard, I'm going to be classical pianist, it's Scott Perlman kind of thing. So, even though you actually worked with Scott Perlman eventually, but you come out, and so how do you think you're going to make a living? Just piano bars? You think you're going to get into orchestras or bands? Or what made you think you could make a living rather than just be like a weekend garage band person?
Because I work really hard.
Okay.
Because I said yes to everything that came my way.
This is why you have various diseases at this point. But I kid. But so, and why trumpet?
Not sure. When I was growing up, when you turned 9 in 4th grade in public school, they said, what instrument do you want to play? And the only thing I can think is that my older cousin, whose name was also Frank, so he was Big Frankie, I was Little Frankie. He played the trumpet, and maybe I was just trying to take after him, but I really don't know.
And you stay with you did band in high school and so forth, and then
all that stuff. Yeah.
when did you gravitate? I guess you at some point were playing weddings, and
I thought I've been playing weddings since I was in high school.
wow,
You know,
and mitzvahs. I hope.
and bar mitzvahs, but also like church services and funerals, and like I say, I just do anything.
What the hell do you play at a funeral?
Well, actually, one of the few actual live gigs I've done in the pandemic was at a funeral. And what did I play? It was a military gentleman, an older, so I played taps, of course, and then I played a Frank Sinatra song that was he and his wife's favorite song that they danced to at their wedding. So what the answer to all those questions is whatever the client asks you to play.
Of course. Was it in New Orleans or was it just a local wedding? Well, you wouldn't have
No, New York.
New York, yeah. Because you figure those weddings.
I do those weddings. I do those events also. New Orleans music, all that stuff. Yep, all that.
You do. And how much? I mean, you are on so many record albums. You've worked with so many people. Like, how many days of the year do you work as a musician? On a given, like before the pandemic, and then,
yeah, I was going to say this year or every other year for the
every
last
other, yeah. In the normal year, I bet you work like 250 to 300 days a year.
Well, I mean, I would say I work every day because even if I don't have a concert, I'm either writing music or practicing the trumpet, you know. So, you know, it's thank God I like doing it. Otherwise, it would drive me crazy.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, when you were a kid, were lessons a big pain in the tuchus and you did them anyway, or did you look forward to them? Or depending?
Well, that's funny. I did look forward to them, except I had a horrible, horrible teachers. I didn't have a good trumpet teacher until I was in my early 20s. And then I finally found the teacher who saved my life and taught me how to play the trumpet.
Right. I want you to go deeper in that. What made the first teacher so terrible?
Let's just say politely, we were very different personalities, and he couldn't get over that. It was sort of like, you know, someone with a military background, and I probably still am, but definitely back in growing up, I was a total hippie. So I would, you know, hair down to my middle of my back and walking barefoot and, you know, playing rock and roll music, and I didn't really care. So it was an attitude difference. And
did that matter though once you picked up the instrument?
Well, you know, for some people, I'll tell you a funny story, and it's got a sort of a Jewish connection.
Oh, good.
There was another teacher in our school district named Bernie Shaw. I loved Bernie Shaw. Everyone loved Bernie Shaw. Bernie Shaw played violin and trumpet, and he taught the orchestras. And because he did the orchestras, he was in every school in the district. He bounced around. So I knew Bernie from the time I was 9 until I graduated high school at 18. I go to Boston, I go to conservatory, I do things, I move back to New York, and among many things, I start playing Jewish and Hasidic weddings. So I go onto the bandstand, young, you know, relatively young, in my mid-20s, inexperienced in that field, and there's a chair, and who's sitting next to me but Mr. Shaw.
Yeah.
Mr. Shaw. So I'm like, Mr. Shaw. He goes, listen, we're on the bandstand now. It's Bernie. And he was just the sweetest guy. I wish I had studied privately with him. I didn't, but he was the sweetest. He was just he was a mensch. He was a real mensch. And it's funny, as a kid, you kind of sense that, but you don't trust yourself because they're all adults.
Right.
And at that point, so we're talking, and I mentioned the other teacher who was the band teacher who I didn't get along with. And Bernie, Mr. Shaw, Bernie says to me, you know, all the other teachers couldn't get along with him either. He was just an uptight prick. So I felt so vindicated that you know, it wasn't just me. It was like, this guy was just like uptight, and, you know.
It's amazing what, you know, people do to children without even knowing it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, they think they're being strict, and they think they're being, and really, it's sort of. I think it was Confucius who said, "You model behavior. You don't really model. You teach the subject. It's the behavior of the Menschlichkeit of a person." And by the way, Confucius did use that word Menschlichkeit. I don't know if you knew that. It was interesting to hear him say it. Yes.
And it's funny, the teacher who did finally teach me, Bob McCoy, who I credit with everything about everything. His method of teaching, I mean, he probably weighed 350 pounds. He was a big guy. His musical career was totally different than mine, but he was one of those guys where that didn't make a difference. He was there to teach me. He wasn't trying to impose his views on music or the world or discipline. He was just trying to teach me trumpet. And his way of doing it, he taught me how to teach myself. And that's a gift that I'll never be able to repay. And when I teach, I try to do that. You don't just tell people what to do, but you help them figure out how to teach themselves.
Whoa. Well, so, and you teach trumpet, I assume, or
I teach whatever people ask me to do: trumpet, music, theory, composition, history, ensembles, all sorts of things.
Can you write music? Are you able to do that?
I composed an opera, a Yiddish Cuban opera, which was produced 2 years ago. I composed a symphonic oratorio, which was premiered at Queens College for orchestra and singers and things. Yes.
The answer is yeah. No, I'm impressed. I didn't realize that you wrote a lot of music as well as playing, of course, a lot of music.
Well, that piece you were playing at the beginning of the show, I composed that, and I wrote the orchestra parts for that.
How do you have any tips and techniques? Because part of that you played on a trumpet, but part of that you were actually playing on a shofar, the Jewish New Year ram's horn. Is there any fingering technique for a ram's horn? Is there any tips?
There's no fingering because there's no holes in it. So
there's one hole at the end of it. Otherwise, it won't make any noise. But yes, so
I had another teacher, the great I'll get his name in a moment. As he used to say, is just tongue and blow. Just put air through the horn. The only secret is air. Air. Just blow the air through the horn. That's it.
Yeah, tongue and blow, which is, by the way, the advice I give to newlyweds. But ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Frank. Well, no laughs there. Okay, Frank London. By the way, get his albums available wherever albums are sold. It's Ghetto Songs, based on the 500th anniversary of the Venice Ghetto and the anniversary of the storming of the Warsaw Ghetto, too. So the Warsaw thing is in there as well. And by the way, his website is franklondon.com to find out about all that he's done and to get some of his music, franklondon.com. But so many more questions for you. May I call you Frank? Or what's your
Absolutely. Name? Well, can I call you Rabbi?
Your Eminence, I prefer. I like Your Eminence. If you
well, actually, you can call me Sir then, because yes, you can. I
don't understand. I don't understand how. I understand why you would have been knighted, but it was for stuff you did in Hungary. What the hell?
Well, you got to be knight. I don't think the U.S. knights people. We don't knight people here.
Well, we were knighting England, I assume.
No, that's just one place that knights people. There's a lot of, any place that's got that kind of history has the order of merits. And so, yeah, I was knighted.
In Hungary? Is that...
Well, actually, the ceremony was in Washington, D.C., in the office of the ambassador. Because the way it works is in countries that still have royalty, like England, as we know from everything that's going on in the press these days, then when you get knighted, it's by the queen or some royalty person. But in countries that don't have a king or queen anymore, then it's just a government thing.
Oh, all right, but they still do it. You're still.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: if there's no royalty, you don't go down on your knees, and they don't take out the sword and
lop off your shoulder. Thing. Yeah, they what?
But they definitely but you just they give you what do they call a badge,
Right. Okay. So can you go
certificate and a badge and everything like that?
Can you go into any restaurant in Hungary and say feed me?
Yeah, I can, as long as I have enough money to pay the bill.
Okay. Well, I mean, but it must have been a nice thing to suddenly get a knighthood, a sirness.
Well, I got to tell you, it's really more than anything else. It's just I think it's funnier than hell. It's like, who do we know gets knighted? It's like, and then I got to say, it was a problem. It became a problem, and I actually returned the knighthood. I with a letter of protest.
Wait, what? What? Who returned? What happened?
Well, as you know, or maybe not, the government of Hungary has been on this very rightward, fascist, anti-Semitic, anti-Gypsy, anti-everything trend for the last 10 years or so, more, but it's gotten worse and worse. And just a few years after I got this particular knighthood, it's called the Order of Merit Knight's Cross, they gave the same exact award to a journalist who was writing the most horrible anti-Semitic, anti-Gypsy, anti-immigrant, horrible stuff, because the government was going that way. And in fact, when I did get knighted, I did it at the recommendation of the Minister of Culture, who was a friend of mine. And he said, well, it was a problem because I didn't want to be seen to be supporting the government. And he was walking a very fine line of supporting diversity, not playing into all this horrible negativity, but he ultimately lost his job. And at the time, I said, should I take this or not? He said, do it, because we're trying to make a statement. And when they knighted me, it was for supporting multicultural Jewish and multicultural culture in Hungary. But now it went so far to the right that I sent a letter to the president, who's this expletive deleted word.
By the way, you don't have to delete with me. You can use any word.
And I said,
book is old. Go ahead.
I said, take it, take it back.
I guess you made yourself a Buddha pest to the government.
Yes,
that's comedy right there. That's humor.
There you go. There you go.
Well, so you're really not a sir anymore. You're just a.
I'm ex-sir. Ex-sir.
Sure. That's excellent.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Anywho, we're talking with Frank London.
What's in your What's in that beverage mug of yours?
Oh, it's basically 3 parts Manischewitz to 1 part gefilte fish juice. It's so good. I gotta tell you. Well, what's in your mug there? In that pretty brown mug that you're.
I really play to the stereotypes of being from my neighborhood, which is called Loisaida. It's an old, really, besides being an old Jewish neighborhood, it's mostly a Puerto Rican, Dominican neighborhood. So I drink espresso coffee, El Dorado.
I can't. Too dark for me. It scrapes my teeth when I drink espresso. All right, well, you like that old world cultural thing. Let me ask you some other questions about this. Were you worried when you really got full? No, not worried, but when you went full on into klezmer and Jewish music, was there a sense, did people say, oh, don't get too schmaltzy, it's old school? How do you unschmaltify music?
Okay, that's a really good point. There's a number of answers. It starts with the fact that I didn't grow up with it, so I didn't have this assumption in my head. Then it continues by, when you listen to the old recordings, and I mean from 1900 to about 1930, they're not schmaltzy at all. Most of them are they're wonderful. They're not schmaltzy. They're profound and deep and gorgeous. And then the third thing, and this was with the klezmatics, when we started playing, I first was in a group called the Klezmer Conservatory Band, which is still around. Oh. And they would do everything. They would do profound stuff and schmaltzy stuff and all this thing. But when we founded the klezmatics, we didn't know what we were going to do. And now it's 35 years later. We didn't know what we were going to do, but we just made sort of a position statement that we weren't going to do anything nostalgic. Nostalgia we weren't going to do kitsch. We weren't going to do shtick. We weren't
No
going to
Mickey
do
Cats,
no
basically.
Mickey Cats.
Oh, yeah.
I love Mickey Cats, but that wasn't what we were going to do. We were going to play klezmer music, Yiddish song, as a really just deep, meaningful thing. And I think that's why the klezmatics became so successful in the klezmer revival, because we were one of the first who just rejected all that nostalgia. We didn't go out and play Mickey Cats. We didn't play Shane Vidi Levona. We didn't do everything for everyone. We just did it in the way that made sense for us.
And now you've taken that, and now as you do the Jewish Cuban music, you do sort of klezmer funk. I mean, is the wheels come off? Is it just like at a certain point, is it no longer even klezmery if you're still doing it, but jazz with a little bit of Jewish flavor? Oh, do we lose? Hello?
It depends. Depends on which project I'm doing. Huh? Sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yeah.
So it really depends. It really depends on which project. Sometimes I do very straight klezmer. Sometimes I do mixtures with other things, and sometimes it has nothing to do with it. On Ghetto Songs, there's really only one sort of klezmer song on the entire record, and then there's a lot of other kinds of things. It's all music. It's all music.
Now, speaking of music, I also want to get into some of the wonderful people that you have worked with and played with. Like I once went out with a girl who was a straight klezmer musician. Now she's a lesbian. But you know, okay, you don't care. But here's
no. There's you say it kind of sort of as a joke, but
I Love Klezbos is an actual band.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Eve Secular and those people. So yeah, we like that. We like that.
Someone named Secular is playing klezmer music. She should be playing secular music, but that's anywho. But you worked.
That's good. That's a good one.
Thank you so much. See, that has wit. The other was just dirty. This one had wit. Let me ask, you worked with Mel Torme.
I did.
Doing what? And how was it? Yeah.
Playing trumpet in a big band. Playing like third or fourth trumpet in a big band at Michael's Pub. And how was it? Great.
Okay, I'd love to hear stories about like famous people that people have worked, any positive or negative.
So I don't have any great Mel Torme stories because he was not the kind of guy who really schmoozed with the band. He came in, he did the job. He was polite, he was professional, but he was, already in his own thing. So it's not like working, say, for example, with Itzhak Perlman.
All right, stop there. Or tell me an Itzhak story.
Itzhak is the biggest joker. You should have him on, but he'll run circles around you, Dave. Not Dave, sorry.
Dave's my friend. I'm Rabbi Sol.
Yeah. He's just, and so every time we have a concert, I almost have to study up and find some new jokes to tell him. So Itzhak is just hysterically funny. And the other thing about Itzhak is he really, as great as he is, he keeps on learning. He keeps on growing. He's so dedicated, and yet with this insane sense of humor all the time.
Oh, this is so good. Look, if you can hook me up with him, I'd love to have him on the program because I hear. Is this? I've heard one.
Good luck.
Oh yeah, but thanks. Yeah, like I could never be talking to Itzhak Perlman. Let me tell you.
No, it's like I can't even call him. I have to go through the through the agent and through the agent's agent. I mean, look. Yeah. I've worked with a lot of really, really, really famous people, and most of them, and this is just how it is, sort of build a barrier around themselves because people are, want them all the time. They want to touch them and take their time and energy. And it's really important they build a real barrier. And I respect that. And you really have to suss out when you're working with someone. Do they want to be friendly? Like it's like, yes, at the right moment.
Right. Yeah.
Or with Mel, you just you just go in and do the job, So
I go shopping at the Piggly Wiggly. People want to touch the hem of my garment. I'm like,
there you go.
no, I'm holding watermelons here. Leave me alone. This is got to be careful about that. But I was going to ask you one little question about Itzhak Perlman, since he's so famous. I've heard a rumor. Let me know if it's true or not, or if you know. Is he Jewish? Just curious. No, I was hoping for a bigger laugh from that one. But no,
I think he's a UU actually.
Now, here's a question for you. Someone who has been on this program and was a delightful guest on Dave's Gone By many years ago, and I just find her absolutely fascinating in the music that she makes and her work process. You did some work with Jane Siberry.
Oh, you know Jane. Jane is genius.
I think
so original.
Yeah.
So unique, so original. God, she's fantastic. And here's the other thing about probably everyone we've mentioned, and probably if we kept on talking, all these kind of really famous people, one thing I think they have in common is they kind of really know what they want. There's a reason why they're so successful, because they really do what they do and know what they want. And it's really, you have to really listen to them and find out, because each person doesn't want the same thing. One of them wants you to play exactly the same part over and over again. Another one of them wants you to expand on it every time you play it,
Speaking of which, have you ever played with like a major rock star, like a Dylan or one of the Stones or
the closest I've come in the rock world, I was a member for many years of a band called They Might Be Giants.
When you were in They Might Be Giants, yeah. I thought you just worked with. I had no idea. Okay.
I worked with David Byrne from Talking Heads for a while.
And Rob Wilson, the director.
Yeah. So I worked with them on the Knee Plays, part of the Civil Wars. I had the pleasure of working with Levon Helm from the band.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
All right, but let's go back, because I did
rock people.
The process of putting together the.
I played with my wife. We both played with Iggy Pop.
I play with my wife sometimes too, but not on the air. Wait! Tell us an Iggy Pop story.
Oh, Iggy!
Iggy
is great.
How can you be named Iggy and not be Jewish? I don't know, but Iggy Pop. Tell us an Osterberg story.
He is Jewish, actually.
Oh, really? Is he? Oh,
not Izzy, Iggy.
Yeah.
Not Izzy, Iggy.
Iggy, I know Iggy Osterberg. I forget James Osterberg. But what's? Tell me a pop story. This is a pop quiz.
Iggy, I hope, he seems to have gotten a little more cautious, thank God, because he was going to just kill himself. He was like stage diving off stages into his 40s and 50s. I mean, he really hurt himself badly once because people didn't catch him and he landed on cement. I mean,
cement, yeah.
He gives 150% every time he performs. He's just so on it.
Well, what did you back him on? What project did you work with?
There was. It's a very long story, but I'll try to sum it up. My wife is German, and for one of her birthdays, she grew up with old German folk music, and as opposed to American folk music, when we say old German folk music, we're talking about
kill the Jews, kill them dead. I know those songs, yeah.
Well, actually, those comes. I've worked on that stuff. Not these. These are they're more romantic, but they're very intense. They're fairy tale songs from the 16th, 17th, 18th century.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we made a record of them. And I arranged the songs, she sang them. And for the band, I used friends of mine who all happened to be in Tom Waits' band. So it was more or less Tom Waits' band.
Wow. Like Mark Ribot and people like that?
Yeah, exactly. Mark Ribot was on it, yeah. So then what happened, jump cut a number of years later, Mark Ribot is programming this big festival in Germany, and he's programming Iggy Pop, and he's going to play on it also. And in each concert, they pair a very famous artist with someone less famous, but they make a match. And Mark Rebo and Iggy Pop decide to invite my wife, Tina Kinderman, to sing these German songs with Iggy on stage with Mark Rebo playing. And so we got to play, and then we backed Iggy up, and it was great.
Wow. Is there a trumpet part for I Want to Be Your Dog? I have no.
There is now, baby. There is
Oh,
now.
wait, can you toogle a little bit? It's like, no, you cannot.
We'll get there later, probably.
We'll get there. We'll try.
Yeah.
But I want to also backtrack because I want to hear if there's any, not just cute stories, but maybe a bit of the process of putting together the knee plays with David Byrne and Robert Wilson, who have, I guess, a very.
Do you have a theater background? Because I'm a little, how do you know Robert Wilson's work?
Oh, well, I've never seen it. I remember you had 3-hour things where you'd be on stage and it takes 15 minutes for someone to move a knee. It's like, dun, dun, and Philip Glass would be under it. It's like turning slowly. Is it intermission yet? Is it into, I gotta pee. Please let him turn all the way around. No, I know.
So you know what?
I have done a one-person show, off Broadway. Called
so what we would do, because those Robert Wilson shows at BAM and everything are so darn expensive that I remember more than once and probably more than 3 times, me and my friends or my wife or something would go to one of those shows, wait for the intermission when people walked out, never to come back, because I was already like 3 hours into a 9-hour piece, just pick up their tickets and watch the rest of the piece. So yeah, Robert Wilson. It's slow stuff, baby.
But working with him and working with David Byrne, how was it?
Again, it's exactly what I was saying about the other people. Is like they know exactly what they want, and you just have to give them exactly what they want. They're both a little autistic. They're definitely both on the spectrum. So it's not unfriendly. It's just not like a huggy wuggy social affair. But they're great artists, and really, it's just like. It's just I learned so much by just putting aside what I do and listening to what people like that, and then you find other approaches.
Well, were you collaborating with them on that, or were you just a band member?
In that particular case, we weren't collaborating because they had already premiered the piece.
Oh,
I led the touring band version of it. But I definitely, worked with David, especially on the interpretation, and with Robert on who directed us.
Okay, so I was curious about.
I wouldn't call it collaborating. Collaborating is where my voice actually has a seat at the table. I worked for them, and that's perfectly fine.
Let me ask you, Frank London, when you were growing up, who were your musical, because you were hippie, you were listening to rock and roll, but also I assume already you were eclectic in your tastes. Who were your musical idols?
Frank Zappa.
Oh! Yes?
And it's funny because from Zappa, I learned so much other music because like Zappa had a song called the Eric Dolphy Memorial Barbecue.
Yes.
And I said to myself, who is Eric Dolphy? So then I learned about Eric Dolphy. Zappa wrote in his liner notes that he listened to Edgar Varese and Stockhausen.
He's the only person who can listen to Edgar Varese and Stockhausen, but or you like them now?
I love them. I love.
All right.
I love them. Yeah, they're just wonderful. I mean, so that Zappa was very important.
Did you ever play or audition for Zappa? Did you ever have that experience?
No, I never had that. That would have been interesting. That would have been very challenging. His music is so darn hard. But
and who else really did you love when you were growing up and influenced you, or did you, or maybe?
Oh, okay. Ready? I'm just gonna spritz, as Lenny Bruce used to say. Ready?
Yes.
I have a funny story. I think we're maybe relatively the same age, so this might get it. The first concert, like rock concert, I went to by myself without my parents
Yeah,
was at the Westbury Music Fair,
of course.
and it was Cheech and Chong who were doing that. At that point, they were doing like, "Hey Dave, where's Dave? Hey Dave," and they were
Dave's
doing
not here, goddammit. He's not here. He's not here. Is that you, Dave? Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. And it turned out I didn't even know the opening band at the time. They were relatively unknown. They just put out their first record, but the opening band was Steely Dan, who opened up for Cheech and Chong. I loved Cream. I loved
egg creams. I have to say, I do love egg creams. I say I love egg creams. That was a little, not a joke. I do love egg creams.
Yeah.
As much
I
as
love,
that person. Yeah.
Hendrix.
Oh.
Traffic was a very important band to listen to. What?
My darling wife has handed me some delicious foxes. You bet.
What? Hold on. Vanilla, you bet?
They make vanilla.
What do you do with the vanilla, you bet? It's like, this is, I don't know what.
You throw it away, you buy the chocolate is what you do. That's what you have to do. Also, would you believe they make coffee and malt?
Oh, I'm sure they do, but I don't know what. Well, you could make like milkshakes with them, but you can't make an egg cream.
I can't make a real egg cream. This is true. So I'm sorry. What was the first record, be it a 45 or whatever, that you went out and bought with your own Frank London money?
The first LP I bought, I think, was Herman's Hermits.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I'm making fun.
And then I remember something by a band called, I mean, we're talking about 64 now, or something like that.
You are a bit older than that, but okay, yeah.
Dino, Desi, and Billy, who had a hit song, "This Diamond Ring Doesn't
Shine for Me Anymore," and yes, yep. Yeah, right, yeah, this toilet doesn't sparkle for me anymore. Yeah.
Those were the first, but basically at a certain point, and it hasn't changed, I realized that what's important for me isn't the kind of music, does it have personality? Is it a little strange? Is it a little bit off center for whatever kind of music it is, whatever. So it's like why maybe I preferred Marvin Gaye over the Supremes, for example. Marvin Gaye had more edge. Marvin Gaye had more bite to his thing. And one of the pivotal moments, a lot of my learning about music is random. I was looking through a used record store, a bin of, and again, we're back in probably at this point, maybe 1972 or something. And I saw a record for 25 cents. And it was printed on yellow plastic, see-through yellow plastic, and on only one side of the record. And I said, this is too cool. This is too weird. I'm going to buy it for 25 cents. Because what else could you do with 25 cents? You could get a slice of pizza for 25 cents.
Yes.
And it was good.
Well, not kosher, but still.
Well, yeah, it wasn't trade because for 25 cents, you didn't get the pepperoni. And the album turned out to be Albert Eiler's Bells. And it just, again, blew my mind. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever heard in my life. But I only bought it because it was on yellow plastic. And then I think the first Jewish album I ever bought was by accident. It was the Fugs.
I've never heard that band. Accident. Is it a good band?
Do you remember the Fugs?
Oh, Tully Kupferberg and Garth Wilson and
Stamfel, Peter Stamfel.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think one of them is still alive, actually. So,
yeah, not Tully. Tully passed a number of years ago.
But so you got the Fugs' first album, and let's say we do like boobs a lot. We do.
Yeah,
we do. The Fugs. So you really are the others, because I've heard some of your other stuff, and when you start gearing up, even if it's Klezmer, I actually hear Beefheart in there. Yeah. I heard a bit of them too.
I love Beefheart. The Zappa Beefheart album, Hot Rats, was a very important album for me. Listen to that one a lot.
Definitely. So you do move a lot in the jazz direction, I have to say. That's kind of because Hot Rats already moves, especially with Jean-Luc Ponty and all those people. It's getting away from rock into jazz-ish.
Well, it's a mix. That's what I'm saying. I like stuff that's like a little bit undefinable. It's not real. I didn't really get into jazz until I was about 19, and then I jump off that cliff and never looked back. You know, my favorite trumpeter of all time is a gentleman named Booker Little, who sadly died when he was 23 of a weird, rare disease, and he's just the most profound musician of all time.
Booker Little. Wow. Yeah. See, now after the show, I'm gonna have to go looking and YouTubing and finding.
Well, listen to a record. The great. I mean, he played a lot with Eric Dolphy.
Okay.
And that's how I first discovered him. But he did a record, and of course Charles Mingus is one of my favorite artists. Right. But and Rahsaan Roland Kirk. I saw Rahsaan Roland Kirk.
I like Kirk.
One of the last concerts before he passed away. But there's an album by Max Roach called "We Insist the Freedom Now Suite," and Booker Little's on it. It's gorgeous music.
Wow. I would have to listen to that in a motel, well, a Roach motel. I don't even know what that means. Ladies and gentlemen, we are chatting with the wonderful, the fun, the delightful Frank London. Alas, I cannot stay to do more of this delightful interview. However, Frank London has been so gracious that we are asking him to stay for a while longer to play our weekly Today, Yesterday History Trivia Quiz against our regular panelists. I will not be conducting that because I can't read questions. I read everything backwards because I think it's Hebrew. But Dave, the producer of this program, will be here. So it just remains for me to thank so much Frank London and to remind you to go to franklondon.com for all things Frank London-ish, and get his new album. It's called Ghetto. So you've never had so much fun thinking about ghettos as you will playing this album from Frank London and friends. So Frank, don't go away. Well, you can pee if you need to go away briefly, but don't go completely away because you're staying and Dave is coming back. Let's hear a little bit more of the wonderful Frank London in the marketplace. All is subterfuge. No, so play a reggae? No? Uh-oh. Why is this not playing? Because I had this down. Here it comes.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4!
Wow, talk about making a joyful noise. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a bit of Frank London playing some klezmer music there in the marketplace. All is subterfuge is the name of that piece that you can find on YouTube.
Very appropriate for Prince Philip's funeral.
Well, we're not really. Hey, David Sheward, you are actually talking to former Hungarian royalty.
Oh.
Not me, but Sir, former ex-Sir Frank London is with us. He's a klezmer musician, a jazz, an everything kind of musician, really, who was just talking to Rabbi Sol Solomon. Frank London, this is David Sheward. He is the former president of the Drama Desk. He's been a theater critic for many, many years. He writes for TheaterLife.com, CulturalWeekly.com, as well as his own blog, The David Desk. Say hello, Frank. Say hello, David.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hi, how are you?
Good to talk to you.
Hi, how are you?
What theater have you been seeing recently? Oh, nothing.
Actually, not true. David, go ahead and tell him.
What?
Well, you went to the Darryl Roth. You've actually been to see a couple of off.
Right. Blindness. I did see Blindness, the production that is the first off-Broadway production where there's no live actors, but the recorded voice of Juliet Stevenson, and we're all socially distanced at the Darryl Roth.
Really? Where is this?
At the Darryl Roth Theater, off-Broadway in New York.
Wow.
Not that far. You could walk there, actually.
Wow.
Frank. It's east side. Yeah.
Right off of Union Square.
Oops.
Amazing.
So
Well, I was there for a second. I saw myself for a second.
we hear you, Leslie. We know you're there. So Leslie, welcome. This is also another theater critic. Her name is Leslie Hoban Blake. Well, we see her name there. She is laughing. Hello, Leslie.
Well, I don't know. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Disappearing.
Oh, I don't know. It's
I'm the new David Blaine. I just, I come and I go at will. Okay. Good morning, guys. How are you?
good morning, Leslie. Now, Leslie, please welcome, of course, David Sheward, as well as. Well, she's back. She's back. And our guest in the neighborhood today has been and is staying with us for the game, Frank London, the klezmer musician, the musician. Now, this is the one thing that interests me, Frank. When you were talking to Rabbi Sol, and you mentioned you don't really know from show tunes, it amazes me that being a New Yorker, doing what you were never in a pit band. You never did. Were in the pit in a Broadway show. How did that happen? I guess you weren't in it or something.
I just took I followed my own path basically. And what happened was I actually love old musicals, but I just don't like the way musicals have been more recently. But I've written about 3 of them actually. I've written about 3 musicals. So
Do you know any of them?
I don't think so, but I'll be glad.
Well, you have in front of you David Sheward. Not to mention the other 2 of us, you have the greatest, historian of New York theater. If you name them, he'll probably know them.
Well, okay.
I'm putting you on the spot, David. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Well, one thing I'm particularly proud of, one of the most famous Yiddish plays of all time is a piece called A Night in the Old Marketplace, by Nacht auf dem Alten Markt, by Y.L. Peretz. Written over 100 years ago, or just exactly 100 years ago. And it's so weird because it's written up in every history book about modern theater, about Yiddish theater. He basically did techniques like breaking the fourth wall and all sorts of things that are all, just totally common now, but he did them. He was one of the first. He kind of presaged Pirandello in some of his stuff. The problem is this play that he wrote, this famous play, is unstageable. It's literally unstageable. It's been staged less than like 5 times in 100 years. There's over 100 some odd characters, most of whom walk on, say one line and walk off. I mean, it's a nightmare.
They all played by Paul Muni at some point in the same play.
Exactly, or Alec Guinness, yeah, or all those actors who specialize in doing, 20 parts. Dave, who else? Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers.
Who's your favorite actor?
Jefferson
who
Mays.
Loves doing like?
Jefferson Mays.
So you made a musical of this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we made a musical out of that.
So the most unstageable play ever written, you turned into a musical.
Yeah.
Well, what else? I'm sorry, just in my life. What else do you do with it?
Well, because I'm fortunate to have worked with some great people. The writer on that play and some other stuff I've done is Glenn Berger, who was the writer for Spider-Man. And yeah. So Glenn is brilliant. He figured out he cracked that nut. And then I worked with Rebecca Teichman, who won a Tony.
Oh yes, of course, we know her very well.
We created a piece called Green Violin, which is sort of a theater piece about the Soviet Yiddish theater, the Gosset.
Was that performed in New York? Was that done here or?
Green Violin was not done. We did concert versions of it in New York. The fully staged versions we did in Philadelphia at the Prince Theater, and then over actually in Russia.
Oh my! Wow. Okay. So Frank London, ladies and gentlemen, joining us for our Today Yesterday quiz.
I'm very impressed, Frank.
Yeah, you should be. Leslie Hoban Blake, I didn't get to give your credentials that you've been a theater director and a theater critic for many, many years, and now you're watchable on the video podcast Critics Circle with our mutual friend, Charlie Gross. So, first of all, before we do anything else, Frank, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot and just ask you kindly to pick a number and tell me what it is. I always forget this part. Tell me
Oh,
what number
we're not doing
Right.
the old the Johnny Carson Carnac.
There it is. Yes, your Karnak. It's Lundak, the Magnificent. A number between 1 and 6.
Magnificent. Okay, a number from 1 to
6.
okay.
Between 1 and 6.
Okay, tell you what it is.
Tell me what it is.
4.
4. Okay. Now, Leslie, being the lady and still being the old school sexist, Leslie's picking number 2. So Frank is 4, Leslie is 2, and David Sheward?
Wait, so Leslie's 2, Frank is 4.
Right.
I will pick 3.
So David Sheward is enough. And David and Leslie are... They
We're
are
a little sandwich, David. I like that.
That's what you said last night.
Not going... Oh!
Mr. Peabody.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that so I didn't have to. Well done. All right, let me get to my
I have
roll.
no idea what just happened. I didn't hear
Well,
any of that
you
except
said-
the applause.
You
What?
said I was a little sandwich because I was
Yes.
between the two of you. And then I
Yes.
said, that's what you said last night.
I actually had to go back and ask for that. Sorry, everyone.
Well, you should know better by now, Leslie. Frank doesn't
I
know.
should, but if I miss it, I don't know.
Yeah.
For all I know, he could have said something about Mr. Peabody. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, you know, they never did that on Match Game.
True. So here we go. What I'm going to do, so Frank, just so you know, I'm going to roll a digital die. It's rolladie.net, and we're going to roll it. No? Hello? There it is. Okay. Number 1 came up on the die, which is closest to Leslie Hoban Blake. So Leslie, you get to decide whether you go first, second, or third.
I want to go first. I want to go first. I never get a chance to do that.
Okay, I guess. Leslie
Thank
will-
you, Frank. I would do that too. Okay.
So,
We do that together. We could do that together, and you can play the.
oh my goodness. I'll leave
No,
you alone.
we got excited. This is my little spring bear. We often bring mascots. This is my spring bear.
And this is, by the way, we just joined our
Oh,
an adorable llama. Here he is. We've named him
it's
Llama.
llama with 2 L's. It's Yama, not llama. The llama is
That's
the
chapstick,
the
yeah.
Dalai Lama.
I have a tube of chapstick.
That's it. It's kind of like a wiener dog, a little bit. I'm going to roll the die again. And the die has come up number 4. So, Frank, you get to choose whether you want to go second or third.
I'll go 3rd.
You'll go third. Okay.
Frank has no pen or toy or anything.
So it will be, yeah, Frank, you don't have any kind of cute, well, his hat. Your hat is kind of pet-like.
No, but
It's
he
soft
needs
and furry.
a gimmick. He needs to have a gimmick.
Uh-oh, Frank is squinting at something. What's the
I
matter?
think he's trying to figure out what you're talking about.
I'm going a little bit blind and I didn't put on my glasses.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
Oh, the ducky's back.
Oh, yay! Yay!
I don't,
So don't make me
I'm
wife
trying
back.
to find, I wasn't warned about the
The pet thing. And you will need a pen and
okay.
paper.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. And for later on, you'll need a pen and paper. Let's see what is
What is that? Oh, see? Everybody has something. Everybody has something.
Why does David have the phone from the Jersey Shore?
The what?
It looks like the telephone from the TV show The Jersey Shore. It was shaped like a duck, and when they went to pick it up
Oh.
and quack it.
Also, is that your shirt, or are you having seafood? Is that a bib, or is that your
Yeah, I don't get, what is that?
I couldn't figure that out.
What I'm wearing?
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a t-shirt.
with
Oh, okay.
the apron on
With
it.
a bib.
Or,
Well, with,
Okay.
with stripes and then this.
And then that was.
It's
So if you-
Oh, look at that.
if you eat anything with ketchup, it'll stain properly. It'll look like part of the shirt.
It's a nautical shirt.
Anyway, thank
Frank,
you.
Frank, eventually we get onto the content.
Eventually,
We
yeah, it takes a
really
little
do.
time.
oh, I'm
It's
in
so
no
funny
rush
because
at
it's
all.
so little, but when you put it forward, it looks as big as my bear.
That's what she said last night. Okay, here we go. I don't know what that means.
I do.
Oh, yes, you do.
Oh, yes, I do. Ladies and gentlemen, here's how it's going to, and Frank doesn't even know the rules yet. This is a game called Today, Yesterday. It's a trivia quiz. It's all in fun. There's no prizes. There's tremendous amounts of embarrassment, though, so enjoy it. Here's the deal. Leslie will go first. David Sheward will go second. Frank will go third. There's 9 trivia questions plus 1 tiebreaker. Each question is worth 2 points. If you get it right, you get 2 points. If you get it wrong, there's no penalty. So feel free to answer or guess. However, if you get it wrong, one of the other contestants gets to try and answer the question and steal those points. It really is as simple as
And
that.
say funny things about you at the same time.
Yeah, we also, it's in fun. So we all
We
make
throw
fun of each
shade.
other.
We throw complete shade.
Yeah. Are we all
Did you
right?
mention the rule of what it's about? I'm stepping
Oh,
on your
yeah.
line.
Thank you, Leslie. Yes,
Yeah.
thanks for reminding me.
Okay.
I thought you did.
There's one
Oh,
theme
you did.
about this whole thing, and that is, since today is April 17th, 2021, and by the way, it's 11 o'clock. So it's 11 o'clock Eastern Time. You're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, in the background, plus David Sheward, Leslie Hoban Blake, and Frank London here to play the Today Yesterday quiz. For more information, yeah.
I'm beginning to feel like we're watching Rear Window and Joyce really isn't there. You've got a recording
She's a
of
hologram.
several things that she would say. I haven't seen Joyce since maybe the last time we played trivia. It makes me nervous, you know. I mean, when we played my building trivia. Are you there, Joyce? Answer me if you're there. Knock twice.
Please
I heard
don't-
her laughing.
Help!
I've got her chained in the basement like Jeffrey Dahmer. It's kind of,
No,
you hear it coming up through the pipes. But
no, she should be a boy in that case.
what, Dave? What?
She's attending Prince Philip's funeral.
Oh, what is it? Things?
Yes,
Oh,
that's right.
does anybody have any interest? Even you, Frank?
Oh yes, I watched it until I came over here, and I have it on. I should be taping it. I'm sorry, I forgot to tape it. Okay.
I just have no interest. I have nothing against the
I don't
guy.
believe
I want to see the dynamic between Harry and William. That's all I'm concerned about. I don't care
Well,
about the
no-
other part of it.
I don't care about
I
that.
do have a theory
Yes.
that not about Prince Philip, but about the whole thing with the TV show and the interview
Oh.
that Oprah did with
Yeah.
Meghan, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that actually it's all about Oprah. It's actually not even about Meghan. It's all about Oprah. And Oprah, it's almost like a Shakespearean battle. She's the woman who would be queen, and she wants to like take down the royalty, and
Uh-huh.
so that she'll be the queen. I imagine this entire
Well,
Shakespearean battle
Uh-huh.
there.
That's going to be your next opera, man. That's going to be the next.
Give Rebecca a call on that one. She'd
She
be
did
very
make,
interested, I'm
She
sure.
did make several $1 million after that on the basis of that interview.
Wow.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Good for her. Well, you know, I made. Let's see, Frank. How much are we getting for this interview that you did with Rabbi Sol?
Yes, as I've said before, I'm in the wrong line of business, but there you go.
Aren't we all? So anyway, but the one thing I want to tell you about the Today Yesterday game is that today's April 17th. Every question that is part of this trivia quiz is something that happened in history on this date. So all these things happen on April 17th, whatever year it happened to be. Excuse me. Are you guys all ready?
Yes.
I don't die of COVID, right? No, here it goes. Here it goes. The first question goes to you, Leslie Hoban Blake.
It does, yes.
The
Gimme,
year
gimme.
1397.
Ooh.
Geoffrey Chaucer was invited to read excerpts of his new book, The Canterbury Tales, for King Richard II. The book focused on common people sharing their stories while on a pilgrimage to a cathedral. These folks included a knight, a squire, and the wife of Bath, as well as 3 of these 4 professional folks.
Ooh.
Which of these is not a Canterbury pilgrim?
I know.
Is it, and it's multiple choice, a nun, a monk, a bishop, or a parson?
I know.
So
Okay, as far as I can remember, when April with its cruel, whatever the hell that went, and we used to be able to do it in Middle English. I would say the bishop. There was no bishop. They were common folk, and a bishop is not common folk. I don't recall a bishop being one of them.
Is that your final answer, Leslie Hoban?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well, after this show, I'm going to beat my bishop because, yes, that is the correct answer. Well done, Leslie, getting on the
Well
pole.
I'm a Renaissance scholar. That's easy. That's like giving David a question about theater.
Well, you know, we didn't know who was going to go
I'm
first.
so grateful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can tell you what it's based on.
What is it based on?
The Boccaccio's, the Decameron.
The Cameron. Okay, cool. Cool. Smile. You're on the camera and camera.
Very good.
I'm
I
sorry.
was on candid camera.
Oh.
Wait. Leslie,
You were?
You saw it. Oh no, we saw her on the game show.
Yeah, we saw it, to tell the
It
truth.
was a different one I was on. When I was in college, an extremely handsome young man came up to me and said, would I like to make some money? And I very amusingly, I thought, said, is it legal? And he said, well, if you want to get $75 for kissing me all afternoon on a street corner outside the cafeteria, they still had a cafeteria at NYU, then it's legal. And it was candid camera, and we were the setup. We stood on the corner kissing to catch the comments of the people going by. That the camera was in the truck, the van that was parked nearby. And most people were kind of sweet, and smiled and didn't say anything. And other people would go by and say, get a room, And I did not know this guy. Of course, we started to date after that. And he was lovely. But
Oh,
it was the best pickup line in the whole world. And I got
Interesting.
$75. So,
well, you know what that makes?
a buttload of money in those days. That was it. I don't know what you just said.
No, you don't want to. You don't want to. Anywho, Leslie, you're on the board with 2 points. What a great story! That is so. And by the way, if you want to see back in the day, because we also on YouTube, we can actually see Leslie on To Tell the Truth, and she was. I mean, not that you're unattractive now, but holy cow, you were like fashion model back in the day. As was I. Back when
As were all of us. It's so easy to look back and realize that we were hot stuff at one point.
I was good.
Had I
looking. It was
known.
amazing.
Had I known that I was hot stuff back then, my life would have been totally different than it became.
I still have my Jewish horns back then, before they were shaved off. Anywho, don't know what that means. We go to our next question, which goes to
I
Dave.
almost did a spit take all over my computer with that one. Thank you very much. I had just taken a mouthful.
Now, David, we move all the way up almost to the modern era for your question. Are
Okay.
you ready?
Yes.
The year 1524. Although he was Italian, this explorer named his ship Le Dauphin, and his discovery of Upper New York Bay, New Angoulême, in honor of a former French king. Name that explorer.
Let me see. So, read it. Say it again.
I will. The year 1524, April
1524.
17th.
Okay.
Although he was Italian, this explorer named his ship Le Dauphin, and his discovery, in quotes, of Upper New York Bay, New Angoulême, in honor of a former French king. Name that explorer.
An Italian explorer. Vasco da Gama.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, that's my final answer.
I'm afraid you're not the winner of this game-o,
Oh.
Mr. Sheward. That is not the correct answer. And so here's the deal. I'm going to roll the die. I'm going to roll that die, which came up with the number 2. Leslie, that means you can try and steal this question from David Sheward. It's 1524. Although he was Italian, this explorer named his ship Le Dauphin, and his discovery of Upper New York Bay, New Angoulême, in honor of a former French king. Name that explorer.
He threw in all those names to confuse you. The only important information in that question is the explorer in Upper New York Bay. That's the only stuff that's important, because that was Verrazano, which is why the bridge is named after him.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Is that, though, your
Yes,
final?
it is. I don't know why I'm in teacher mode this morning. God help me. This is my God.
Well, you're a former teacher. Everyone, actually, every single person in this room has been a teacher. Quite literally. David is
Well,
still.
there you go.
I was teaching English. You were, so, but anyway, Leslie, that was a Verrazan yes. Well done. You get 2 more points. Leslie, going away with the game now. She's got 4 points.
Somebody stop me.
Good for you.
Unstoppable.
No, don't. Let me keep doing it. It's okay.
So, but now, Frank London, you get a chance to get on the board if you can get the next question correct. Are you ready? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the tension is mounting. Here we go. The year 1860, and this is a multiple choice. Although prize fighting was illegal in England, the battle between American John C. Heenan, the Benicia boy, and British champ Tom Sayers happened today in Hampshire. Considered the world's first title bout, the fight ended in a brutal, bloody draw after how many rounds? Was it A, 27, B, 34, C, 42, or D, 51?
What was the second one? Second choice?
Yeah, I'll read the question again. 18,
No. Just the
Yeah,
second.
you don't need the question again. So, world's first title bout ended in a draw after how many rounds? A, 27, B, 34.
34.
34. Is that your final answer?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm afraid we're running numbers on you, Frank London. That is not the correct answer. So we have a steal opportunity from one of our two other participants in the game. Thank you. Came up the number 6 on our roll-a-die, and that means that, well, that's closest to Frank, second closest to David Sheward. So David, you have a chance to ask this question. How many rounds did this battle back in 1860 go?
So it's 27. It's not 34, 40 something or 50 something.
Yeah, 27, 42, 51.
I have a feeling. Oh, I don't know. This could be tricky. It's probably, since there were no rules back then, or no Marquess of Queensberry rules, the father of Lord Alfred Douglas. I'm going to say 51.
Is that your final
Yes.
answer? Well, you're playing solitaire alone with a deck of 51, but that is not the correct answer, David Sheward. I'm sorry. So, Leslie Hoban Blake, you have the last chance here to get these 2 points. You could really zoom up here if you know whether this battle went 27 rounds or 42 rounds.
Just the thought of it, this was even before boxing gloves, right? I mean,
Right,
this was like
exactly.
barehanded.
Yeah.
They must have been meat by the end of it, you know? I can't believe it could be 51. I'll say 27. But I think, when was the Marquess of Queensberry? When was Oscar Wilde? It was after that?
We can coach you, but David,
No, it's a side question. It has nothing to do with my answer. It's just, I thought that they already had that for the upper class. This was not an upper class boxing.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just curious. Go ahead. My answer is 27.
Your answer is
which is unbelievable even in and of itself.
Well, I seem to have stumped the panel. Yeah, it was 42 rounds. It lasted 2.5 hours, and it's good that you brought up David, Marquess of Queensberry, and Leslie, because what happened was, this is the thing. This started.
Oh.
There were no rules.
Oh, okay.
The
All right.
Queensberry rules were put in place for 3-minute rounds, wearing gloves, 10-second, a lot of the things that are still in place today, thanks to this brawl. It ended like a riot, and it was just nuts. So then they needed rules, and they did them after.
It was a draw. Nobody won right after all that. It was a draw,
yeah. They pummeled each other almost to death. And then yeah. Fun stuff. Anyway, the fun is that we finished round 1 of our Today Yesterday quiz with Leslie leading 4 points to David and Frank. Still no points on the board yet, but we have a new round to start. Although Leslie... Frank, I want to tell you something, and I tell this to all the new guests who play the game. Don't feel bad. Some guests don't get any points the whole thing. It's not an easy quiz. Luck is involved of what question you get, and sometimes
Also
it's
bribery.
people guess. Oh, and also you didn't bribe me before the show, which even $10, I would have just picked questions all about Klezmer music. But here's the deal. So don't feel, so far you don't have any points on the board. And even if you don't get any, it's all about the fun of playing. But here we go. Leslie, you get to try and get 2 more points. Are you ready?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I thought it was
yes.
Oh,
I
yeah,
have
you're
no shame. What?
You're right. Never mind.
Yeah, no, Leslie goes first.
You're right.
Leslie's get this.
Yeah, for a change, David.
Yeah.
He's so used to going first.
Yeah.
And he just automatically thinks he's going first.
Go ahead.
So here you go, Leslie. April 17th, 1861. Precipitating the American Civil War, Virginia secedes from the Union today. One of Virginia's nicknames, besides Old Dominion, is Mother of Presidents because 8 American presidents were born there, but only one of them in the 20th century. Which one? This is a multiple choice. Was it Woodrow Wilson, William Howard Taft, C. Herbert Hoover, or D. Gerald Ford?
Huh. Virginia.
Yeah,
We're talking about Virginia. Okay.
Mother of
Name them again, please. Name
Of
them
course.
again.
So which of these presidents was born in Virginia? Was it A, Woodrow Wilson, B, William Howard Taft, C, Herbert Hoover, or D, Gerald Ford?
Huh. David knows all the presidents by number. I don't have any idea. I'm going to guess Gerald Ford. I have no idea.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's my final guess.
Well, Leslie Hoban Blake, you should have switched from a Ford to a Buick because that is not the correct answer, I'm afraid. So we have a steal opportunity from our 2 other contestants. Let's roll those dice. Come on, let's roll it. Oh, it came up 6. Again, so 6 is closest to Frank. Frank, you have a chance to steal this question. Who among these 20th century presidents was born in Virginia? Was it Woodrow Wilson, William Howard Taft, or Herbert Hoover?
Oh, he's muted. You're muted.
I think I should unmute. I think unmuting is a good thing. I
Yeah.
think Taft is the Virginian. Actually, who played the Virginian? That's the more important question.
Gary
David,
Cooper.
who played the Virginian?
James
Gary
Herbert.
Cooper.
Gary Cooper. So it's Gary Cooper was the Virginian. But other than that, I'll go for Taft.
You will go for Taft. I can't think of a pun. This is terrible, but it's not the correct answer. It's saltwater tafty. It's not.
You drew a bad draft.
Yeah. Oh.
Mr. David.
Oh, Mr. Sheward.
Oh, Mr. Peabody.
Taft. No, I can't.
Daft.
Nothing comes to me.
Daft. D-A-F-T. Daft.
Daft. That's right. It was a daft answer. No,
Oh,
it was a nice answer, but not the correct one. So, Leslie, amazingly enough, I think you're. No, excuse me.
No, I don't get
I
the
get one more
second chance.
chance.
David gets it.
Sure,
I don't get the second
yes.
chance.
So,
There's
question
only-
is, which of these presidents was
Okay.
born in the Mother of Presidents states, Mother of Presidents state, Virginia, in the 20th century? Was it Woodrow Wilson or Herbert Hoover?
All right, now that I know that Wilson was born in a southern state because he had southern sympathies, and I remember him saying, being in the South. And then he later moved to New Jersey and became president of Princeton. And the other one is Hoover. I think Hoover was from Ohio or someplace like that. Ford, by the way, was from Michigan.
Oh, thank you.
Taft, I think, was from Ohio too. All right, so I'm going to say Woodrow Wilson.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I knew you would get that right. Well done, David Sheward. Some of your other information was a little bit incorrect, but that's okay. Ford was born in Omaha. He was born in Nebraska.
Oh, well, he moved to Michigan.
I don't know where the others were born, but these are the 8 presidents. Amazingly enough, I thought all presidents were born in Texas, but no. Virginia had Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, Zachary Taylor, Woodrow Wilson. And so those were the big 8. But David Sheward, you are on the board.
Hey.
I totally forgot we had presidents named Taylor and Tyler. I swear to God, it sounds like a rock band.
Who could forget Tippecanoe and Tyler?
You said he had Southern sympathies. He showed Birth of a Nation in the White House and called it the greatest film ever made.
Yes, he did.
That's to his everlasting.
Well, at the time, it was the greatest film ever made, even though it was racist and stupid. But it was the biggest epic anybody ever seen on a movie.
Yes,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I have the book, The Klezmer, that it's based on, and they actually cleaned it up because it's like kill them ends, all through the book.
Gone with the Wind was pretty
Mhm.
the novel
In
was,
my comparison, yeah.
Gone with the Wind was pretty racist too. The novel.
You think? Oh, the novel for sure.
Well, movie
That-
too,
that
in
novel
modern
is like
terms, Gone with the Wind
that-
is problematic with Butterfly McQueen.
Yeah, brilliant.
I ain't boy for no babies. And I tried out for that role several times.
I don't know nothing about birth and no babies.
Right.
There's a whole line. I don't know
Okay,
nothing.
nothing. I don't know. Do it, please. Please.
Babies, that's the line.
Get us thrown off the air, Lizzie. Do it in your blackest voice.
No, I did not. I was doing my Butterfly McQueen imitation. Am I going to be in trouble now? Are you going to have to
Well, I'll
make
be
me?
in
Are you have to cancel?
Let
You
me
have to
cancel
cancel
this
me,
week.
David, because I did that.
It's a good thing.
Am I canceled?
No, it's a good thing Vicki Lawrence did not do blackface when they Went with the Wind on the Carol Burnett show.
Yeah.
Yes, you are so right. You are so right.
I think they did.
No, no,
I wonder if she had the option and she chose
no,
not
she did
to.
not do it in
That's
blackface.
okay.
She did not
No,
do
but
it.
I wonder if she had the option. I wonder if they wanted her to, but
Well,
she said,
probably,
no, I won't do
probably
that.
not. They did do
Oh, okay.
blackface on Laugh-In though.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there
Well,
was on Laugh-In. They did a minstrel show. Remember the news when they would do the news, introducing the news?
Oh,
And
gee.
what's the news across the nation? We have got
Right.
information.
Right.
But there was one episode where it was always the female members of the cast. So they did a different musical style every week. So they did it a minstrel show type of thing, and all of the women were in blackface, except for Chelsea Brown, who was the only black member of the cast, and she was in whiteface.
Oh, well, that's actually all right. That make it okay in my
And then
book.
Judy Carn said, "You know something, Chelsea? I've only been black for 5 minutes, and I'm already sick of you white chicks."
Actually, cool. That's actually
Oh, who
yeah.
were the writers on that show?
There were like
David?
20 of them.
Oh, anybody, but nobody came out like Mel Brooks or.
No, Mel Brooks wrote
somebody
for
like that?
Caesar.
I don't know if anybody's
There's a wonderful film on blackface by, I think his name is Bogle, Bogle, a black historian.
Douglas, who
Is
wrote
it
the
Douglas or Donald? I know it's a D. I thought it was Donald, but anyway, it's brilliant. I was collecting those films on my own, just because it got to me at a certain point that Fred Astaire in blackface was uncomfortable, and I was raised, I mean, my family, Al Jolson was basically a god in our home. It was some of the first records I ever heard were my dad's old records of Al Jolson. I think there's an album of 78s that was kept where you see white hands clapping on the front of it. It's Al Jolson.
Yeah.
White gloves, not white
Yeah,
hands, white
yeah.
gloves clapping. And never thinking twice about it, never thinking that it was odd that he was the son of a cantor and singing in blackface. I mean, none of that seemed to make any, it was, I didn't know anything about
And
it.
Eddie Cantor was Cantor, and he was.
Cantor also.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you're- if-
Oh, yeah.
If you're interested in that whole subject, you should see Cheryl Dunier's, I don't know how she pronounced her name.
Oh, the watermelon woman? The
Watermelon Woman, yes.
Yeah, I love that film.
Well, I was at an art museum in California, and I didn't realize that the film is just one part of this huge art project that Cheryl Dunn. How do you pronounce her last name?
Dunier.
Dunier. She did a whole extended art project where she invented this character of the actress, the black actress.
Right.
And it's an incredible. She made photos, she made diaries, she made fake
Oh,
news
wow.
reports. It's really it
was a display of some sort, like,
yeah, it
like
was an exhibition. It was
an exhibition. Oh, wow.
yeah, and but yeah, they as my sister in England would say, they really took the piss out of blackface with that one.
Yeah, but see, nobody paid attention to the film at the time. That's the problem.
Well,
It was an indie, and it was by a woman, and it was on a racial subject, so it kind of just slid under the door for years. It's been
you're
rediscovered.
correct.
It's been rediscovered in I would say the last 20 years, and given its proper due as a pivotal film of its kind,
But
But I didn't know about the exhibition. That's marvelous.
Yeah, it's wild.
I just wanted to, and this is not a joke, this is an actual thing, because sometimes Joyce and I will watch videos on YouTube, and I never occurred, I didn't even realize back in the day, but if you go back and watch Boy George's song, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?
Was he blackface?
The video that made him, part of it, there's a whole jury in there of people in blackface swaying and going like that. I was like,
Really?
holy crap! Yeah.
Well, worst of all, he's a Brit. They abolished slavery even before we did.
Yeah.
So
So it's just
that's interesting.
and I saw that video a million times when I was growing up on MTV. It was like just another image. It was just another cute, weird boy Georgie because he's crossing lines of gender and crossing makeup, and so is other people wearing makeup. Now it's like, oh, it's white people going mama.
David, what's the name of that Spike Lee movie? It starts with B. It's not Bamboozled. It is Bamboozled.
It is Bamboozled. Yeah.
Oh, it's Bamboozled. Okay, that's the name of the film. Yeah, which was Spike Lee's take on the whole entertainment, early days of black entertainment.
I don't know if you guys realize, but I'm tall and I'm blonde with gray hair. I'm in Jew face. This is me. This nose. This is all just prosthetic, man.
Is that resting Jew face, or is that active Jew face?
Oh, you want to see my Jew bitch face? You certainly don't want to see that one. Oh, it's the worst. Anywho.
Anyway,
We had a game here somewhere. Oh yeah, it's 4-2 so far. Leslie Hoban Blake leading in our yesterday game, but it's time now for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So David Sheward, you get the next question. Our 5th question is in our 2nd round. Are you ready, David? Okay.
I'm ready.
The year is 1925, and it's a
Are you all right, Frank?
Yes, I just dropped.
Okay,
I dropped my little friend
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm
Who's
glad
not-
you rescued him.
who's not helping me get any of the answers anyway.
He comes in sideways. That's cute, coming in sideways.
Okay.
here we go. This is multiple
1925.
choice. 1925.
Yes.
After complaining, and we're almost David Sheward's not Jewish, but the rest of us are, so we'll understand this. After complaining repeatedly about
his
pain.
spouse is Jewish, so he's.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're married to a Jew, David. So
Same thing.
yeah.
And I'm only half Jewish.
Oh, really? Which half?
My father was Jewish, not my
Okay.
mother. So
No, I mean
half a Jew. It's called half a Jew. HAFFA. Half a Jew.
Anywho, here David's like, get on with the question. I'm here for the game.
This is just to keep David waiting for the question, and then to throw him a little bit. That's all.
After complaining repeatedly about pain, legendary Yankee Babe Ruth undergoes successful surgery today in Manhattan. What was the complaint and what was the surgery? Was it A, headache, tonsillectomy, B, backache, shoulder surgery, C, bellyache, ulcer, D, toothache, root canal?
Huh. Okay. Well, I think the one that jumps into my mind is bellyache ulcer, because he was such a big guy and he drank so much and carried on and probably did a lot of stuff that led to ulcerative conditions. But that's the obvious answer. Could be toothache. So it's ulcer and what?
So I'll read the four.
Bellyache and
Headache, tonsillectomy, backache, shoulder surgery, bellyache, ulcer, toothache, root canal.
I'll just go with the one that leaps out at me, bellyache ulcer surgery. Yeah, the stomach leaps out at me.
Well, it's good of you to go with your gut, because that is the correct answer, David.
Yay!
What happened was he had a 7-week recovery from the ulcer, because basically, as you said, all his drinking, all his other stuff. Some people say he was also recovering from VD or a big problem with acid reflux.
Uh-huh.
And weirdly enough, though, he recovered.
Speaking of VD, yes, there we go.
Oh.
Wrong hand,
The
but go ahead.
ducks were applauding, and you took it the wrong way. You took it the wrong way.
Well, I wasn't expecting that on the bill, but I'm sorry. The following year, though, the interesting thing was, because he was in the hospital for a while, he cleaned up, and that's when he got into the best shape of his life and became part of Murderers Row. Was the year after that, so he came back strong. But yeah, Babe Ruth, well done, David
I
Sheward.
got a sports question. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And you are.
David, I have a picture of real ducks kissing. I will send it to you. I took it on the river. I live on the river, and so I walk up and down, and the ducks are back, and they actually do that. They're not kissing, but they actually do touch bills.
Did you get their permission?
Only if she photographed their feet because they have to go on the web.
Oh dear.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You're so
Okay.
good at the spur of the moment, David. The puns are terrible, but
Yes,
the fact that you can come up with them is amazing.
Thank you. I don't know how to respond.
welcome.
Right. For all. 4-2. 4.
4-4.
Four.
But Frank London gets the next question.
Yes.
So he can get on the board. Frank, are you ready for a question? Here we go. It's a multiple choice. 1932 was the year, April 17th a day. Some of our clues in this quiz are highly questionable, but this one is Haile Selassie. The emperor of Ethiopia ended slavery there on this date, but which of these is not true about old High? Was it A, he was a Time Magazine Man of the Year? B, Bob Marley translated one of his speeches to create the song War? C, the name Haile Selassie means power of the Trinity? Or D, Selassie sent nearly a dozen personal letters to Harry Truman begging him to stop the Korean War?
You know, most of what I know about Haile Selassie are the famous stories of him first going to Jamaica and not realizing that he was revered as this god by these crazy Rastafarians. And as he opened up the plane door on the runway and he saw these hundreds or thousands of Rastafarians, he got scared and ran back on the plane. and the other stuff is about an amazing book written after his death by the writer Richard Kapuscinski, who wrote about the court of Haile Selassie. He wrote about Haile Selassie by interviewing the people who were in his court. And during the famine in Eritrea, which was one of the many debacles of his reign, the guy whose job was the joke teller.
There was a
Haile,
job.
yeah, he was like
the
court jester, and he said, his magnificence wasn't laughing as much these last few weeks. So, but none of this comes from me.
Sounds like he's auto-tuned.
Frank, we're losing you. Hold on. Frank, start again. I think you're frozen now.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say here on Time Magazine. You hear me? Hello? Okay.
So your answer was the thing that did not.
But he was not Time Man of the Year.
What time is it? That's the wrong answer. I'm sorry, that is not the correct answer for that question. So we have another steal opportunity from David Sheward or Leslie Hoban Blake. I'm rolling the die. Why isn't it roll? Thank you very much. I get one.
I must say though, Frank, whether you got it right or wrong, you certainly belong with us because you have a story for it. So
yeah,
I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to get into the flow.
I like that.
Yeah. So it came up on number 1, so that means it is closer to Leslie. Leslie, you get to steal this. I'll read the question and the things again. I won't read.
Sorry, David. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. Yeah.
So in Ethiopia, on this date in 1932, Haile Selassie ended slavery, but which is not true about Haile Selassie. Yeah. Is it B, Bob Marley translated one of his speeches to create the song War? C, the name Haile Selassie means power of the Trinity? Or D, Selassie sent nearly a dozen personal letters to Harry Truman begging him to stop the Korean War?
By the way, I've seen that time cover. It's quite something, given the time period that he would have been chosen. I think it's the translation. I think the name means something else. I used to remember what it meant. It's Most High something, but I don't think it's power of the Trinity. I don't think so.
So that is your final answer?
Well, I was just going to say there are a lot of Ethiopian Jews, so my feeling is that that's not the right answer.
Okay. Well, 1, 2, 3. Power of the Trinity is not the correct answer to this question. That's what Haile Selassie actually means. So,
Okay.
David Sheward, you get to try and steal this question. Which
Okay.
of these is not true about Haile Selassie, Emperor of
So
the
it's either the letters to Truman to stop Korea, or what's the other one?
Bob Marley translated one of his speeches to create the song War.
Oh, now that's interesting, because what Frank said about Rastafarians, maybe that ties in with Bob Marley. So I'll say he probably wrote 29 letters to Harry Truman to stop the Korean War, or 31 or something like that. Okay, so it's 50-50. I'll go with the letters to Truman.
You're saying that is the
Right.
answer, but he didn't do that. That's the
That
thing.
he did not write that number of letters.
Well, you are certainly true in that particular instance. Well done, David Sheward. You get what happened was, it's more than that, David. It's not that, not only that Haile Selassie, not the number of letters. When the Korean War was happening, Selassie wanted stability in the region. He volunteered and he sent troops to Korea to help out. So it was not a peacenik at all in this case. He was okay with the war happening and trying to help America do it. So you got the right answer for a different reason. So well done. And as you said, Leslie, he was on the cover of Time magazine. And if you read Selassie's speech, you can see where part of war, the Marley song, comes from. Of like, if we want this to stop and this to stop and this to stop, everywhere is war. So anyway, well done, David Sheward. Oh, what a shock, he's leading.
David, I'm giving you one of these because right now I'm very angry that you're leading. Okay.
Oh, you mean like Nancy Pelosi to Donald
Yes,
Trump?
Yes.
Well, it's this way, yes, but I can't hold there and do that. But okay, I'm upset. So get me another question, quick.
It's like an old man
God,
with
you're
venereal
dirty.
disease. He has a slow
I'm
clap.
feeling competitive this morning.
Whose
Go
turn
ahead.
is it now? I've lost track.
All right, well, here's the deal. We're into round 3
He
now.
just wants to hear you say it. He wants to hear you say it. He likes
David
that.
Sheward is leading the game
Yeah.
with 6 points. Leslie Hoban Blake has 4, and Frank London not yet on the board, but that could
I
change.
love your optimistic not yet. That's very, very polite.
He
of
does his best. He gives out the person who tried hardest things at the end. Too.
It's true. You get a participation medal. You do. We'll call you. We'll reinstate your sir. That would be lovely. Here we go. So here's the deal. In this final round, we begin with Leslie Sheward, who's still very much in the game, but you all are. You all can
Just called me Leslie Sheward. I think that's not a possibility, but go ahead.
Anywho,
That ship has sailed. Yes, David? That ship was never even in the harbor. Never mind. It's okay.
Don't even. No. 1969
Very good.
is the year. So Leslie, I could make a 69.
1960. You say 1969?
69. Big year. 69. Okay. Beginning their first ever tour with 3 nights at San Francisco's Winterland is the band, formerly known as the Hawks. Until then, best known as Bob Dylan's backing group. Playing lead guitar and writing most of their songs is this Canadian musician,
Robbie Robertson. I loved him. I was mad about him.
Final answer then?
Oh yeah.
All right, too easy, I guess. Yeah, and then that one, Frank was like, of course. Yeah, Frank was saying he played with Levon Helm at one point. So,
oh, did you? Oh, he was the other one I loved. Oh my God. I went to see a Levon Helm concert, in the latter days when he was on his own. I really love that man.
Brilliant musician.
Yeah.
do you have a Levon Helm story you can tell? Or was he a?
I don't. Maybe Frank does.
Well,
I did not have. No. I was just a fan.
I'm asking Frank.
Overage fangirl. That's me.
I don't know anyone who could sing and play drums and do both so well at the same time. I mean, it's ridiculous. And when I think about it, all my favorite songs by the band are the ones that Levon sang lead on, even though you're right, Robbie Robertson was the lead singer. But all our favorite songs, Take a Load Off Annie, Levon sang lead on.
That was my theme song for years. I loved that song so much. It played in my head constantly. Loved And it was in so many movies. Robert Altman loved that song too.
Huh. Okay. By the way,
Right.
Leslie, here's anyone can pick up there, but let me see, Leslie, since you were a super fan. Robbie Robertson. What's his real first name? You don't get any points, but I'm just.
Oh, I don't have any idea.
It's
I truly don't know. I mean, the obvious question would be Robbie, would be Robert, and I'm sure that's wrong because it's too easy. So
it was
I have
either
no idea.
depending on how he pronounces either Jamie or Jaime, but I don't. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Jamie Robbie.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad he changed it to Robbie because it wouldn't have worked the other way.
Oh, Jamie Robertson, that worked.
No, Jaime Robertson would not have worked that way.
Jaime, well, here we are.
Is that Hyme or Jaime? Which way is
Second
it?
one. Second, Jaime. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, we have a tie. We have a tie between. Am I right about this? Hold on.
Yes.
Leslie.
Yes, we
David,
do. Yes, we do. We have a tie. Yes.
This is exciting, folks. So it's anybody's game still, because I don't know if it's anybody's game, but we have a tie. So here we go. The next question does go to David Sheward, who can take the lead.
Okay.
The year 1979. This is so weird. This is like completely by accident because we were just talking about this early in the show. The year 1979. After success in the West End, Whose Life Is It Anyway opens at Broadway's Trafalgar Theater for a 6-month run. It closes, then reopens at the Royale with a woman playing the lead role. Both times the leads won Tonys for 1 point each. Name those Tony-winning actors.
Tom Conti and Mary Tyler Moore.
Is that
Give
your
it to him on
final?
a plate, David. Just give it to him on a plate, David.
Waited so long.
Not everybody would know them. Yeah, and it wouldn't necessarily have gone to David, depending on who rolled the dice. And anyway, David, is that your final answer? Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, your final answer. Yes, it's Tom Conti for 1 point and Mary Tyler Moore for the other point. David Sheward gets 2 points, and he
Trafalgar Theater. Wow.
is back in the Trafalgar. Yeah.
That's the only thing that gave me pause for a moment. I'll have to look it up. But
Look at the Trafalgar. Is it demolished or did it turn into?
I guess.
Yeah. Or they rename it to
I guess I'll have to look. I will have to check that.
Breach Skull, theater.
I remember going there at some point, probably in the 80s, but I don't know.
And the Royale is now the Schoenfeld, I think.
Oh, they renamed the Royal. I mean, not that he shouldn't have a.
I believe the Royale is now the Gerald Schoenfeld.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Well, this is still there.
Ah,
Our last question of the third round will go to.
Now it's 8-6, right?
It is. I'm sorry. Yes, David, you are. Yes, you're winning, David. You are winning 8-6.
I want to make sure,
But if Frank misses this question and Leslie gets it, we could have a tie and go into a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So, let's.
Right.
But hey, maybe Frank.
we're not wishing that you don't get it, Frank. I hope that you do get
I
it.
want him to get it.
Let's see.
It's only David I don't want to get it.
This might be in Frank's wheelhouse, I'm not sure. The year was 1987. Now, speaking of theater, this noted translator of Molière plays was appointed America's Poet Laureate today, 30 years after his Things of This World won a Pulitzer and National Book Award. Name him.
The funny thing is, I do know, but I'm going to get it wrong just because I want to give Leslie a possible chance to catch up with Dave.
Oh, Frank, you're very sweet. I cannot remember
I'll just say,
exactly.
I'll just say randomly, Tom
No, Frank,
Stoppard.
if you
No,
know it, Frank,
no.
Listen to me.
I'm liking this.
I can't. I don't know who it was. I can only think of the initials.
Well, you're on.
Take-
I've done my part, Leslie. You're on your own. Tom Stoppard. Ogden Nash. Whatever.
Nash would be actually a really good guess, but are you really going to go with that?
Yeah. I want to give Leslie a chance.
Whoa. Well, roll the die.
What a nice thing to do. Oh.
Because it was not Tom Stoppard.
Nor was it Ogden Nash, but candy is dandy and liquor is quicker nonetheless.
Liquor, I hardly know her. So here's the deal. The die, the die came up number 6, which means not Leslie, but David Sheward
That's the way it goes.
gets a chance. Well, we have to get the question right, though, David.
Okay.
Otherwise, Leslie still has a chance to steal. So
I can't
David
come up
Sheward.
with it.
Yes.
1987, speaking of theater, this noted translator of Moliere plays was appointed America's Poet Laureate today, 30 years after his Things of This World, won a Pulitzer and National Book Award. Can you name him?
Richard Wilbur.
Is that your final answer, though?
Yes.
Wilbur! Yes. Yes, David
You
Sheward.
know how crazy the mind is? Because it's Wilbur, and because I know it's somewhere up in here, I kept coming up with the name Orville,
Oh,
as if somehow I would get to, I couldn't get to Wilbur,
right.
but I got to Orville.
Well, you know, you would be flying high if Orville were right.
Yeah, I would if that had been the answer, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
But, you know,
And by the way, David, that did play into your wheelhouse, you know, because the Misanthrope that he worked on won a Drama Desk Award. I assume you don't have that in your head.
That I didn't.
I don't think, was that not earlier than your time, David, the Misanthrope?
I guess.
That Richard Wilbur did.
I guess.
I mean, it's an earlier version. We all saw the later one, and it was still
Yes,
Richard Wilbur.
I guess
but-
it was in the 60s.
So
Yeah,
here's the deal.
probably.
Here's the deal. Let me do this. I want to get
Congratulations, David.
I want to get
by the
Frank
way.
on the board, even though David has technically won the game and we haven't done our tiebreaker yet. But I will give Frank this question, just if you guys are okay with it for fun.
Sure.
Richard Wilbur, that was the correct answer. He wrote the book for a Broadway musical that had music in it by Leonard Bernstein. What was that musical?
And it was before West Side Story. And it certainly wasn't Candide, obviously. I don't know. What?
I want to backtrack a little bit.
It is Candide? What?
Yeah, it was Candy. It was
Candide.
Yeah, you said it. I heard Candy. I'm gonna give you a point. Yes.
I mean, I was thinking Voltaire, but then you said the book, so that
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the book of the musical. I didn't mean...
Yeah, no. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Okay, but hold
Too much.
on. Theater scholars. So, what other musicals did Bernstein write?
On the Town.
Yep.
Wonderful Town.
Oh, I don't know.
West Side Story. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The huge flop. And he
Trouble
did
in Tahiti, although that wasn't
the
a
opera. The opera Trouble in Tahiti, and the opera A Quiet Place.
But 1600, I've never heard of that.
It was a big bomb, and it only ran a week.
What was it based on? Anything, or was it an original?
It was about the White House. It was in 1976 or so. It was in honor of the bicentennial. And
No, that was 1600 Pennsylvania. What was
I
A
just
Quiet
said
Place?
1600.
Oh.
I'm asking you what A Quiet Place was.
Oh,
I
it was
know
an
it's
opera,
1600.
an opera about family, and there was gay characters in it.
Oh, really? Oh, lovely. Is that
1600.
is it revivable?
I guess so. Yes. Oh, and Mass. He did a piece called Mass, which was kind of an oratorio with.
Mass is
Yeah.
Mass is brilliant. I mean, that's
Oh.
But 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue had a book and lyrics by Alan J. Lerner, and it was this. It was like one. It was like all the presidents.
So has it been done by the Revival series? It sounds like a perfect piece.
They
for
did it. They did a sort of a mini concert version of it at the York Theater Company.
And did you see
But
it?
the lead in that was Ken something.
Ken Howard and
Oh.
Patricia.
Ken
Rutledge.
Howard.
Ken Howard and Patricia Rutledge, and they played the president and the first lady from Washington all the way up to Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, cool. But you say was it is it revivable, David, or is it still like...
Only as a curiosity. You could only do it as a one-night concert thing for look. Oh, isn't this interesting? I don't think you could do it as a commercial vehicle because it's so terrible and disjointed. I mean, the overall show doesn't work. But if you sort of did it as like, oh, this is interesting, let's take a look at it for one night.
Yeah, and it's kind of who's that? Oh, he's been on the show. The guy who does Broadway by the year, Scott Siegel. And that kind of where he does.
He might do songs
Right.
from. And
Yeah.
my
Right.
former colleague at when I was working at Backstage, Eric Hodkinson, did a concert rewrite of it for the York
How
Theater.
is Eric doing? Do you ever see him? He became my editor after you.
I saw him upon occasion. I see him sometimes on
Oh,
Facebook.
please send my best wishes.
If
If you run into him,
if I
right?
run into him,
you know.
sure. And when we go back to the theater, I hope I will
Yes,
see him.
well, bless your heart, Frank. Thank you very much for all of that. By the way, we came up with the one thing that would get me in the theater. It's on the new show. We were doing recasting, but please, guys, play this game with us and send me some ideas. Revivals you'd like to see and the recasting. We were riffing off the Times doing the 75th anniversary of Polly's in the future with Beyonce, and Charlie came up with a great idea. He said every actress of her time played Mame. I played Vera, of course, but every actress of her time, I played Vera, played Mame. And so he said, so the time has come to recast it in a different way. And then he said, how about Charles Bush as Mame and Harvey Firestein as Vera?
Oh.
And that's exactly was my reaction. I said, that would get my butt in a seat. I can't think of anything that would get me into the theater except that.
Bush has done anti-Mame, but not the musical.
Yes, I know. But I want to see them do the musical. I would fell for that. That's a strange show because Mame works her butt off and she does win the Tony, but Vera gets the applause with those silly little scenes in between. It was so great that B. Arthur was able to,
Well, you know what I always say, if you can't be good, be Arthur. But ladies and gentlemen, do you guys want to? I know I've kept you so long, Frank, but we can do one more question. We didn't do the tiebreaker, and we can have fun with this. So, Frank, do you have a?
Stay, Frank. Stay.
I'm here.
Great. Do you have a pen and paper, Frank? Or
Yeah.
pencil, or just something to write to scratch down on.
Sure,
Because
absolutely.
even though it's the game is won, and David, as usual, walked away with a.
No, I won last week. Don't downplay that. I don't get to do it very often.
All right, okay. David's probably like 70-30.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I would say
I'm
that's
ready
a
for
fair
you.
estimation.
I'm ready
If
for
we
you.
kept track, but who's counting?
So here's the deal. We have one more question, and rather than ask it the way we've been asking it, all three of you get to write at the same time, and then I'll do a 3, 2, 1 countdown. And
I have
we'll
to
answer
put
the
Bear
answers.
down to do
Hold on.
this. I can't hold her
Final
and do this.
Jeopardy.
Okay.
All right. So here's the question. I'll read it twice, and then I'll give a 3, 2, 1, and you'll show your answers to the camera. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
The year was 1956. During tournament play, this man sank 150 consecutive balls in a billiard tournament, almost as impressive as the 526 straight balls he sunk in an exhibition 2 years earlier. Name that player who isn't Minnesota Fats.
Oh. Okay. Oh.
Could you get that?
I know who he was. I don't know his name. I know who he was. I have blank paper.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm going to do the Frank Gorshin move, the big question mark.
Hello?
Wait, hold on. Let's annoy you during this phone call.
No, don't bother. It's probably his mom. She's probably like, get off that show, David.
Why are you watching that stupid show?
David's mom wants him off the show. Get off the show, David. Get off the show.
So we have no answers, by the way. David, did you?
Are we showing them? Sorry.
We'll show it because they already showed, so nobody's showing anything. And you have? Jack, a great answer. That is not the correct answer, though.
But he taught Jackie Gleason. He taught Gleason and he taught Newman both. And I can't think of his name. He was the champion.
Think Italian name.
I know. I thought Italian names and nothing would
It
come.
didn't help.
Okay.
Okay.
With an M? I don't know.
Yes, it does. It does begin with an M. The last name begins with an M. No? No. So it sounds like an Italian pastry, his last name? No.
Marzipan.
Sounds like it isn't one. But all right, I'll just give it away. I wouldn't have gotten this either. By the way, you should also know, Frank, that if I were asking myself these questions and hadn't done them, I would know maybe 2 or 3 of them. But the answer is Willie Mosconi.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Willie Mosconi. He was the other guy besides Minnesota. And Minnesota, he didn't like Minnesota Fats because he was kind of, more out there and gregarious and dumbed down pool for the masses. And Mosconi's like, well, this is an art form, But yeah, that was the answer to that final tiebreaker question. So Ladies and gentlemen, it remains for me to thank so much our guests playing in the Daybreak. First of all, and foremost this week, Frank London. Everybody go to franklondon.com to read about him, to discover his music, and certainly to find out more and buy his new album. It's called Ghetto Songs. It is ghetto
Oh.
fabulous. So yeah, want to remind everybody just what it's about, Frank, real quick, so that people have want to buy it.
It's total truth in advertising. It's songs from and about the world's ghettos. Everything from music by Solomon Rossi and Benedetto Marcello from the Venice Ghetto 500 years ago or 450 years ago, to music from the South African townships, to the famous song "The World Is a Ghetto" by War, to music from the Polish, the Warsaw Ghetto, music from the world's ghettos.
Yeah.
Do you know Hershey Felder?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was our guest a couple of weeks ago.
Well,
One of-
and
one
we've
of-
interviewed
one
him
of
several
my-
times too.
One of my closest friends and frequent collaborator is Eleanor Risa, who
Oh, well, I love Eleanor. I've known Eleanor for years.
exactly. So
I knew her as an actress. I knew her back in the days when she was still an actress.
she still is an actress. In fact,
No, I know that. I'm saying back when we were both girls, back in the day.
yeah,
Actually, I'm sorry, and I apologize for this beforehand, but it does occur to me that if she ever did a career retrospective and had Hershey Felder, playing behind her, she could call it Reese's Pieces with Hershey.
Oh.
See, the way your mind works, David, it's
Horrible.
I
isn't it?
wouldn't want to be up there. I mean, I really wouldn't want to be up there.
Yeah,
But
no-
I admire the way it goes. That's all I can say.
Well, thank you, and I admire that you came in a very close second, Leslie Hoban Blake, in our game
Thank you,
today.
thank you.
Now, Leslie Hoban Blake, you can watch her with our mutual friend Charlie Gross, because they're in the video podcast. It is called Critics Circle. You can watch it for free on YouTube on the Critics Circle channel. Leslie, did you do a new episode this week?
Yes, we did. And as I said, we played the recast game. We did about 10 recastings that were kind of fun. We didn't tell each other what they were going to be in advance, so we were both surprised. But we would love you to go to the site and give us an idea. David, both of you guys, I don't know about you, because you said, Frank, you don't. I keep going this because on my screen, you're down in my lower left quadrant. So if I don't know where you are, and I'm looking at the lower left quadrant.
Frank is on my upper left. You're on my
I know, I make that mistake all the time. I'm supposed to look at the camera and I never do that. But we would love to have you, just for fun, recast a show that you love, and with contemporary artists. They have to be living. They can't be dead. They have to be people who could actually do the parts.
Well,
We come up with some interesting things.
if I wanted to be provocative, the show I would ask to be recast is the Zulu and the Zaidi.
Yes! But you would be the Lou Gossett role.
I love Lou. I've known him again from those days. I love him.
So who do we recast in the Zulu and the Zaidi?
Well, who
That
would
was
be Menashe
Pincus, right?
Skolnick? Yeah.
Menashe Skolnick.
Who play him?
Pinky Lee is dead. Menashe Skolnick is dead. Nobody walks around doing that anymore.
Jimmy J.J. Walker.
Adam Sandler.
Okay.
Oh my God, Adam Sandler, you're right.
That would work.
That's exactly who could do it. Adam Sandler.
And Chris Rock. If he
Yes,
could sing.
Adam Sandler and Chris Rock.
If he could sing.
Wow. Well,
You'll
Frank,
Godfrey in the
Frank,
Menashe role. Yeah.
do me a big favor. If you go to the site, just write that in. I mean, I'm going to put that down when we run a couple of them on the show next week. I thought about the Zulu and the Zeta, and I thought, nah, but since it's not me doing it,
With
putting down
Glenn,
Frank London.
with Glenn
Chris-
Berger again, I created a really funny show for Town Hall a few years ago called From Moses to Mostel, the history of the Jews as told by Broadway musicals.
Oh,
And we
Love it.
made a narrative using songs. And what I found through the magic of Google is that basically every single song, every single story in the Bible has a musical written about it, not more of them. Some of them are horrible and amateur, but every story has, and I found, I mean, you guys live in that world, I don't, but I didn't know the apple tree, and I discovered Harold Rome and
Two
and
by
what-
two. Did you discover 2 by 2, Danny Kaye?
of course we did stuff from 2 by 2.
No, I'm just asking.
No, because
Throwing it out
we went through every Bible story and found a song. But oh my God, the worst one of all. Oh, it's so good, it's so bad. And I have to call my wife. I've forgotten what we used it, but it was so bad. It was mostly on film, and oh, I'll never.
Well, what was the story? What was the Bible story?
Yeah, talk among yourselves for
Just
one
gonna
minute.
check.
Tina.
I tried writing an Onan musical, but it was all by myself, and yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was a stroke of bad luck. But David Sheward,
I get that one too.
Thank you. I didn't get to say.
So did I. It's very bad.
Okay. Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer sang the.
Oh, King David.
Yeah, is it called King David?
It was a Disney thing. They did
Yes,
bring an
that's
origin
the
called
one.
King David.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
cartoons.
So
The cartoon?
atrocious.
Oh,
It
no.
might be- he says it's King David. I don't think that's the name, but that's the story. It is the story. You're right. That's not the name. But we
Oh.
found the one song that we could do, and I brought in my best friend who's a Punjabi percussionist, and we made a Bhangra remake out of the song. But what was the big song? Is anyone listening?
That's the
Is
song. Or that's,
anyone listening?
1756.
And it wasn't Val Kilmer who sang it. It was a guy who was famous because he was like on The Voice or America's Most something like this. It's amazing. It's so bad.
I think Alice Ripley was in that, and I'm not
It's
joking.
about Moses. You're wrong. It's the Ten Commandments. It's the ten.
Oh.
Oh, so I'm thinking of a different. There was a King David musical, so this is a whole different thing. Or wait, I'm lost now. When you're saying Val Kilmer was Moses in the Ten Commandments on a musical, that's wow.
Let me-
What?
I
Yes.
thought he said he was King
It's
David.
called The Ten Commandments, the musical, starring Val Kilmer as Moses.
Wow.
It's an amazing.
I have to say though.
And I'm sorry, and the big song is called "Is Anybody Listening," sung by Adam Lambert. That's it.
Oh wow.
Oh my God. But I have to say that's a red flag to a critic. If you put a song called "Is Anybody Listening" into a show, critics can just go, "Should I do
No.
it? Shouldn't
No,
I do
nobody's
it? Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it?"
Or
You don't
actually,
do that, David. How you're above all that, David Sheward? I'm not above that at
It,
all.
depends on the show,
That's the point. It depends on the show.
should
But
you,
if it's there, it's a trigger for sure.
should you see this musical? Thou shalt not. No, it's absolutely not.
no,
And where is David to be found? You haven't.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. David Sheward, you can read his writings in both his blog, The David Desk, as well as his theater writings in culturalweekly.com and theaterlife.com. Did you review anything this week? Any virtual?
I am about to finish a review of John Cullum's solo show.
Yeah.
John Cullum, accidental star, which I should finish today, and hopefully it will be up online.
I saw that. How did you like it? If you
I enjoyed it. It was a nice, concise little 90, 80-minute show. And it's remarkable. Mr. Cullum is 90 years old, and he's still performing, and he's still got his voice and everything, and very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Yeah, he's. And
Have
I
you
was.
seen musicals yet?
No, I
Have
haven't
you
seen it yet.
checked out musical?
I know it's online somewhere, virtual version,
Yeah, it's for the York. It's a benefit for the York.
kind of a thing.
It's got some great cast members,
Oh.
including Patti LuPone. What?
Also interesting is the news about Scott Rudin.
Oh well, yeah, we were talking.
Yes. That's a nice word for it. Interesting.
Well, Tara,
I have a Scott Rudin story.
Yeah, which is, I was talking about this in Inside Broadway before, that Karen Olivo left Moulin Rouge as a protest against Scott Rudin, and he's not a producer on Moulin Rouge.
He's not even involved.
Yeah,
I don't know that's a good reason that she gave. I don't know that's what her
Well, the
reason was.
update also is I don't know if there's an update. I just saw it online. Is that Rudin is stepping away from all of the shows he's involved in.
including Music Man. So, I didn't know that. Wow.
And he wrote a letter of apology, to the legions of people that he has mistreated.
They crumpled it up and threw it at them.
Yeah.
From the littlest of you to the stars, I'm apologizing. Right. I could just hear what it would sound like. I have a Scott Rudin story real quick. At the Signature Theater, because I have a handicap, I always got that lovely in the big theater. I always got that lovely first row where there's nothing in front of you. I think it's E, but I don't remember. Anyway, it's that lovely first row. And I go to my seat, and there's a guy that I think I recognize. I think he runs the working theater in my head. That's Herschel. That's Larry Herschel. But in my head, because and I think it's Larry. And I put my finger on his knee in a friendly way, not any kind of, but just like to get his attention. And I go, "Hi, I haven't seen you in so long. I think that's my seat." And he goes back with a big smile, "No, it's not." So I went, "Okay." He said, "There is one next to me. You're more than welcome to have that one." I went, "Okay." And I sat in the seat. And the show goes up. I don't remember what the show was. And the show is going on for about 10 minutes. And I go, "Oh, fuck. That wasn't Larry. That was Scott Rudin. I don't even know Scott Rudin. I've never met Scott Rudin."
Well,
So that was my introduction. He doesn't remember me from a hole in the wall. But I used the opportunity to send him a script saying, "It was lovely seeing you at the Signature last week. Have you got time to look at this?" I got a lovely letter back, which was not thrown at me saying, "No, thanks very much. We don't accept submissions except by agents." That was,
No, but
you know,
that's actually,
but I did it anyway. So
yeah. Well, he was a gentleman both times, so I'm happy to
he
hear
was a
that.
gentleman both times. He did not harm me. He did not grab my hand. He didn't do anything. It was just funny that was,
yeah.
and then all of this comes out and I think, oh, what he could have done. No, I'm sorry. That's
Yeah, if you had gotten if he had produced your play, forget it.
well,
Yeah, and we'll give him on Broadway. You would make $1 million and still hated him. That's what would have happened.
right. I had no reason to hate him personally. He never did anything wrong to me except not to produce the play. That's all.
Well, that's the thing with everybody putting pressure on Hugh Jackman and saying, "How can you appear in The Music Man if he's produced?"
Well,
Hugh Jackman's playing. Well, he's
now it's okay. Now it's okay.
Yeah.
I love. By the way, watch our show. The little bit that Paul Rudnick's monologue for. Help me out, David. The one that was just done as a pop-up.
Oh, by
Nathan.
Lane?
The monologue for Nathan. We had some, and we put it up, and it's the part about Hugh Jackman coming to the apartment.
Oh,
Cool.
So watch it, please. If for no other reason, if I can't get you to my site in any other way, I'm going to lure you with Hugh Jackman and Nathan Lane. How's that?
Well, you should lure them with maybe some Frank London music. Then everybody would come.
Well, I probably have seen stuff that you've done, Frank, because I'm a big folk speener person. I don't know. Did you ever work with the folk speener? You worked with Eleanor.
I certainly have done stuff with them. And
We interviewed
hopefully-
Zalman several times and went to many shows. Long before Fiddler, we were big fans,
What was it?
Hopefully, they're going to produce my opera.
Oh, knock wood. Okay, which
My-
Is that about the ghetto music also? Or is that a different?
No, it's another thing, but it's very funny because they're both apropos of our history quiz. They're both around events from this around 1512. But this is it's a Yiddish Cuban opera. It's a Yiddish Cuban nightclub opera that tells the story of a Taino chief named Hatway who led an armed uprising against the conquistadors and was martyred.
Okay. I mean, so why did you go there?
Because there was a Jewish refugee from escaping the pogroms who his family couldn't get into the US because it was right after the restrictive immigration. And he ended up in Havana because he couldn't get into the US. And he grew up in Havana in the 30s. And he started the first Yiddish newspaper in Havana. And then he wrote as a gift to Cuba, the country that saved him when no one else would take him in. He wrote, this is his introduction. He goes, "I give you the story of your first great hero, Hatway," and he writes a 100-page epic poem in Yiddish about this uprising.
Wow. And then they sent him back. It's like, who's going to read a 100-page poem? Get out of here.
Actually, it was translated into Spanish almost immediately and taught in the schools, who mostly don't know that it was written in Yiddish by a Jewish guy. Because this is like Hotway is somewhere between George Washington and Johnny Appleseed, and he's the epic hero.
See, if you ask me what's a hot way, I'd say, oh, about 5 ounces, 6 ounces, depending if it's a Humbert or something.
The
Nice.
Hemingway.
You know, that's why there were so many Chinese in Cuba. That's where the Chinese, the Cuban Chinese cuisine.
Yeah.
Because the law was basically the Yellow Peril law, and it was to keep the Chinese out. And Cuba was closer for them also. And there was a total assimilation. All of the people in the Chinese Cuban restaurants spoke perfect Spanish. All of the Asian people in those restaurants. Over the years, I don't know if that's still a big cuisine or not, because I don't go out to eat anymore. But when we went out to eat, there were lots of them. I lived in Chelsea, and there were Mi Chinita and Cubano and other restaurants like that were.
I miss those. I miss those so much.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh well, there we are.
There we are. Well, here we are. It is about, oh my God, it's 10 after 12 Eastern Time in the neighborhood. You're watching Dave's Gone By. We're a bit overtime. We still have more to do on the program, but we, alas, have to let our guests go, who have been just delightful. So Leslie Hoban Blake, David Sheward, and our new friend of the neighborhood. So thrilled and so glad to have Frank London on the program. Thank you to all of you. So I'm gonna let you go individually as we finish up the rest of Dave's Gone By on this April 17th. Have a great week, guys. Stay healthy and hope to see you all soon. Okay.
Well.
Bye-bye.